Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're here to talk about the 2022 film Everything Everywhere All at Once. And as always, I have here with me Ro
Howdy, howdy.
and Ramon.
Hey guys.
Oh man, the mothers, am I right?
Mothers.
Man, I definitely enjoyed my rewatch of this movie because I think I caught a lot of things that I might have missed the first time. But yeah, that was definitely one of the things that I'm like, I did not want to had that feeling of just being like, man, mothers. So I have a lot to say about mothers throughout this episode. But Ramon, you suggested this movie. Obviously, you're a big admirer. You liked it when you watched it. You're a big fan today. You're clearly wearing a shirt that represents the movie. So what you think about it, man?
Not quite from the movie, but close enough because it is OB from Loki, but it's the same life philosophy from Everything Everywhere All at Once. So it kind of works out, you know. It was
Oh, it's because on my the letter starts backwards, so I couldn't really see the what it
well.
said.
Let's not read it out loud because then we're gonna get canceled within like the first few seconds. It's not a good thing. Okay. No, but yeah, man, this movie since it came out. Sadly, I didn't go see it in theaters. I bought it right away. Like I streamed it like right away from Amazon. I didn't waste any time. Fell in love with the movie, and I think I rewatched it about like 10 times within the first couple weeks that it came out. And then even rewatching it again today, it was just such a beautiful movie. Stands. I still can't believe we didn't talk about it sooner, but it's just one of those that I'm kind of glad that we waited because it's been marinated as people got to see it, as other movies and shows came out with more multiverse kind of situationships and things that are going on. I think this movie still stands the ground as one of the top movies having to do with that whole idea of multiverses, multiple storylines, and I don't know, just the freaking stories within it. Like, I mean, my eyes are probably a little swollen from just rewatching it right now. Like, I was crying a little bit, man. It's a great movie, so I'm
Oh
excited to finally get
wow.
to talk about it.
Yeah, I want to hear which parts you were crying. And Ro, you didn't like this movie. You didn't even bother watching it till like recently. Like, what? Why is that, man? Why did this slip through the cracks for you?
I don't believe in multiple universes. I'm kidding. I think it's blasphemy. No, no. I think I'm gonna have some interesting takes about this, but yeah, like this movie's definitely it's an emotional one, and it has some like very deep things. So like this is kind of what I love about certain movies is that they have like like a very specific story, but then they put them in a like very interesting setting to have that story. And that's kind of what they do with this movie. That they have this like mother family type of like theme throughout the whole movie, and they put it in this crazy multiversal like world hopping doppelganger type thing, where there's like awesome scenes and awesome like pictures that you have throughout the whole movie, and just kind of like different aspirational things, and then so many themes and so many lessons that you can talk about in this movie, and it's just in one crazy like sci-fi or fantasy, or I don't even know what kind of
It's everything.
genre this is, but
Yeah, man.
I think it's a brilliant concept.
No, and it sucks that you don't watch Rick and Morty because that kind of would have prepped you a little bit for like how
What is
weird
that? I've
this
never
movie
heard of
gets.
that.
But I mean, Rick and Morty is as close as like this movie I could compare to something with the creativity it takes. Like it's just freaking
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
The one thing that it did remind me a lot as I was watching it this time, I couldn't stop thinking about the Matrix, man. And maybe it's a little bit great that I have that
Mm.
example because it kind of has that impact of when I first watched the Matrix. It just left this impression on me, like, wow, like they're really like doing something that I've never seen before, and sort of this movie's doing it too. But it reminded me of the Matrix with the whole idea of especially when they're being chased in the office, and she's getting instructions about like go left, go right,
Mm.
act this way, or even the idea of like, hey, you're being fed information instantly, and all of a sudden, like now you're a kung fu master, now you can pilot a helicopter. So those are kind of
Hmm.
like what it reminded me, and I don't think it's a bad comparison to think of the Matrix and this movie in the same class. And I'm hopefully in a couple of years when I look back, it's like, yeah, the Matrix and this movie are right next to each other for me.
Yeah, no. And then I think that the craziest part of it too is just like one, you have like the whole like multiverse idea and like Raul was saying the graphics, the scenery, like the different visuals that's beyond freaking like amazing to watch, right? Because like even from the beginning, as things start to like twitch and kind of like kind of intermix, like you're kind of really just wondering what's going on, and as it gets crazier and crazier, like it's just, man, it's just like a complete mind f. Totally messes with your head. But I think still what this movie does amazingly is that it's like a bunch of stories, because even rewatching it again, I don't know if it's speaking to my own fragility as a man, or like a fragility of like the kind of like, I guess, but having to please your parents, and not necessarily just the mother, but having to
Yeah.
please your parents, because even Evelyn, you know, a big struggle for her was trying to please her dad. um it just hits these really hard points, man. And it's just, there was plenty of times when I was watching, I'm like, you know, and already knowing the story, already knowing where it's going, like it can't, it just makes you really think about your life, different ways that it could have gone. And dude, I just, man, like I said, that's the emotional part. That's kind of where it just kind of takes you for a wild ride. And it's a hard movie to talk about, because I'm like, damn, I didn't write anything down, because I'm gonna just go straight from the heart and just like in the sequence of what's interesting, what's good. Definitely, I'm here for you guys. So I don't know what you guys want to talk about first, because man,
Dude, well, to kind of go a little bit off of what you were saying, like the thing about it is, because of the story, it's relatable in so many different ways to like so many different people. Like the whole relationship between like Evelyn and Obi, uh, like the relationship between the parents. Obviously, like they're trying to get divorced or whatever, and then the whole, yeah, and then the whole thing with like parents and child, and then the whole like sexuality thing, because she's gay, but like the mom's not necessarily fully accepting and all that stuff, and then her girlfriend is her friend, and then you have everything between her and her dad, and then on top of that, you kind of have this whole concept of like your life choices, and how different choices impact your life in different ways. And then you kind of see the alternate world where you kind of have the visual of like the lost love that you never knew, like what could have been, because in that situation they didn't know, because she chose to stay in Hong Kong or wherever she was, and not go with him to America. And then you kind of have all these different scenarios playing out, that pretty much everyone is going to be able to relate in some way to any one of the characters at any point in time. And then you have the whole tax thing that everybody hates, because everybody
the
hates it.
IRS.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
it's great, bro. This is why I love you, because yeah, everything you just said, man, it's like exactly how I felt. Like I could relate to their marriage, I could relate to the daughter mother relationship, I could relate to like the daughter Evelyn and her father, and the whole,
Mhm.
again, going back to taxes from somebody that does the taxes in my family. Like yeah, I could totally relate to like taxes
Yeah.
and totally being stressed out about them, and being like, yeah, the
Mhm.
IRS is totally gonna get me this year. This is the year they
So
get
Mhm.
me.
so much the trophies are in the shape of butt plugs. I'm like, yep, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Which is funny. Like that's the kind of stuff that's fun about what rewatching it. You catch those things. Like you catch how
Mhm.
much the bagel is being referenced in the beginning, like right off the back with the receipts. So it's kind of cool
Mhm.
to just have that. Like, Ro, like, I don't know if on your second rewatch if you did enjoy it more because you already knew these like little things to look out for, little details you might have missed.
So I know you guys aren't gonna like this. So on my first watch, I think it was more of like amazed, and then I had a lot of excitement towards this movie, because like I've been wanting to watch it for a long time. So I actually watched it for the first time like a few weeks ago,
Yeah,
and then
right.
Ramon said like, "Oh, we're gonna do this movie." I was like, "Really? I just watched it for the first time." And then on the second rewatch, it actually took me 3 days to watch it,
Mm,
because like something that I noticed on this rewatch is how much, like, one, I realized how long it is, because the first time, like,
it's two and a
you
half
you
hours. Yeah.
yeah, you don't really sense the length of it. This time I felt a little bit more, because I was watching it late, and then I was by myself, and I actually was like dozing off each time that I was watching it. So like I watched it in 3 parts, but like I rewatched some parts a few times. But like it's it has so much in there that it's hard to fully pay attention the whole time, unless you're in a state to pay attention the whole time, if that makes sense. because I feel like if you miss like a little bit, then you miss a lot.
Oh yeah, there was definitely times where I had my phone and like I looked at it and then I was like having to rewind because I'm like, oh man, for like those 5 seconds I was on my phone, like I just missed something, so let me rewind. But no, I don't blame you for taking like maybe 3 times for you to watch it. Like I was under a similar situation, where like I was trying to watch it like 30 minutes at a time, so that when I did have to like watch it all, like let's say the hour that I had left, I could just do it in one sitting. But I couldn't do it because I had other things in my life going on. But I did watch like 2 hours straight of it, like and I did enjoy it. But I could see what you're saying about like 2.5 hours seems a little bit long, especially if you just watched it. I think for me, it's been 2 years, so it didn't feel like a burden, I guess. Not that it was a burden for you, but it didn't feel like a burden for me as I was watching it.
No, and I
Thanks for
definitely
putting words in my mouth.
right. No, but I mean, I kind of do the same in a sense of like when I recommend it to people, because I definitely recommend it like very often. I tell people to sit down and watch it all at once as best as possible. Like, minus
Watch
the potty,
everything everywhere all at once.
everything everywhere all at once. No, I mean, it is really important because the first time I watched it, definitely it was really enjoyable. I did watch it straight through. It was at the comfort of my own home, so that it kind of made it easier to like, at theaters when you do miss a certain cool part of something and you really do miss it, you miss it for good until like it's out on streaming later on or you go to rewatch it. But I watched this movie in bits and pieces randomly throughout, and different parts hit like different. And you don't have to watch it at the same time after you watched
Yeah.
it the first time. And you know what? Even rewatching it today, I was just kind of like, no, I really do have to sit there and pay attention. And I think it's a journey. When you do finish watching it all together, all at once, it is definitely like a very emotional piece. It's beautiful. Like you just leave like, holy crap, I forgot how good that movie is. But I think, yeah, in general, if you don't watch it that way, it's definitely, you can miss a few things to the point where you're like, what the fuck? Like, why did the people have like
No,
sausages or wieners for fingers? Like, it's
no,
little
dude.
details.
And I think you can say that about a lot of movies because I have like a Blu-ray collection of DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks, and I'll buy the movie. That doesn't mean as soon as I buy it, I go and watch it. Some of them still remain unopened because I just, not that I don't love
Green
that movie,
Lantern.
because obviously I paid for it to have it there, but it's just like this idea that like, oh, I already watched it, and what am I really getting out of it? And it's one of those things, man. Like when me and Raul grew up, we had cable, and it was one of those kind of cool things back in the day where you could just kind of put in TBS and whatever the movie that was showing, you're like, all right, you know what, I'll watch this, even though the movie already started, it's halfway. And I think this movie, if I was back in 2005 and it was just on TBS, CNN, and it just like it stayed it was on the cable, I would watch it because it's like it's so interesting to catch it at different parts of it.
At any point.
So yeah, so I think it's a very fun movie to watch, man. So like, I don't want to say this movie was a downer because I don't think it was a downer at all. I just think every movie suffers from that. It's very rare
Yeah.
for me to say I can watch a movie 100 times without me getting bored of it. It's very rare for me to say that.
I will say I do want to watch it again, and I do want to watch it all at once, because like this movie, there's a lot of different emotions that you kind of go through, because like even with her with Michelle Yao, her character, like
Yeah.
you go through a lot of feelings for her. You're annoyed between like how she is with her daughter. You're kind of
And
annoyed how she is
husband.
with her husband.
Yeah.
You're kind of like there's so much going on and so much mess in her life that you kind of it's you don't really feel empathetic, really at all. You kind of just feel like you brought it up like upon yourself, and then you see how like everyone else is reacting around her because of how she is, and then all of a sudden you kind of get into this whole action thing, and then you're kind of just confused, and then you kind of start feeling for her a little bit, and then you I think the whole time you feel bad for the husband. I don't think there's any point you don't feel bad for the husband.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
he's the one that you don't have any character flaws, throughout the whole
No.
movie. I feel like not saying he's perfect, but in this movie, I didn't see
I
any
say he's
character
perfect.
You
flaws.
shut your mouth. He's a
I would
perfect
marry
man.
him.
Yes. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, so I mean, I guess to somewhat at least have a kind of origin relating to the movie. Like, I think that's the first thing that hits me right from the beginning is that storyline between Evelyn and her husband, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that's, at least being adults in relationships or having been in a relationship at any point, how bad this, like, it sucks to be like the one who tries, the one who's like nice, the one who's always trying to like hold things together, and just being felt like you're being dismissed or you're not being held as important as you should be. Like, it sucks, man. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
again, this is where I mentioned the word fragility, and I didn't mean to like say, anything necessarily super
No.
negative, but it's just like it does hit those points of like, holy crap, I can relate to that, and it sucks right from the beginning. And like you
Yeah.
said, Raul, it's not that you start like thinking that Evelyn is bad, but you don't. You can like sympathize with her with some things, but at the same time, you're like, what? Like, what a jerk! Like, dude, like, pay attention to your husband. And sadder when you find out almost right in the beginning that he's trying to like basically give her papers to sign for a
I
divorce. And I'm just
know.
like, dude, how does the movie start like that freaking crazy, but then kind of distracts you from all that by making it about something else? Is
Yeah.
insane. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of how it starts. It's just that whole,
But he
yeah.
didn't. He didn't want a divorce or for real. It was just this whole like reality check. Like, hey, I'm bringing this to your attention because I want you to focus on us, and I want you to have a conversation with me without something pulling you away. That's what I got from it when it was in that other dimension, and he was explaining it like, hey, I don't want to divorce you. I just want you to actually pay attention to me and talk about it, and maybe this will save our marriage. But the one thing that I always thought was interesting, it was this idea that she's just the worst of all the Evelyns that are out there. Like that's the
Yeah,
reason
I
that makes her
know.
that's what makes her special, just the fact that she is the worst. So it's like we are seeing somebody that obviously even having that divorce conversation is probably not gonna go the way he thinks it's gonna go. It's probably gonna go like in a way where it's like, yeah, we are gonna get divorced, we are gonna lose the laundromat. It kind of sucks. It's like again, it's just I would hate to be somebody to come to me and be like, "Yeah, you're the worst Carlos out of all the trillions, billions, whatever Carloses there are."
The
Shit.
infinite amount of Carlos, you are the worst one.
The
No,
worst
but
one.
yeah, yeah, because I was thinking about it during the rewatch on like what benefit would it be for them to like try to contact the worst Evelyn, but then I was thinking that really the benefit is that she can kind of jump like into or get any other version of Evelyn, and it's gonna be better than that Evelyn. So it's kind of like you're starting from the bottom, or you're starting from like from scratch, and then you can build on it with all the other Evelyns because that's the worst one. And it's not
Yeah.
like they're gonna pull anything from that one, so then they really have like all the other Evelyns to pull from. But I
No,
don't know.
for
It
sure.
was an interesting concept.
No, for sure. Like, that whole concept is all about like self fulfillment. Like you said, like, yes, of course she was like the worst one, but like, exactly what it was. It's like once you already know that you're so bad at everything else, or at least you failed at things you tried, any other possibility just feels like it's fulfilled, because all of a
Mhm.
sudden you are a chef, like all of a sudden you are a freaking like kung fu master. And so like, who better to like
A
take
movie
that, and,
star.
and yeah, a
Mhm.
movie star, and then who better to like kind of really feed into that than like the person that's always wanted to but's never done any of those things. And that again is kind of like one of the other like little details that kind of goes back, and you feel for Evelyn multiple times. That was one of the ones that you really felt for her, because you're like, shit, man, like this person truly, between the IRS and then her husband at that point telling her that it's like, everything she's doing is just not being done well, and she could be doing better, and she's like a shitty wife, like she's a shitty business owner, and she sucked
Shitty
at every
mom.
hobby that she's had. Like, that's terrible. Like, so it's like, yeah, of course, like this again, I'm not a woman, I'm not a mother, but you can put yourself in that situation and just be like, wow, like, whoa, if you didn't have that multiple universe jump ability, like what would you even do in that universe? Like, it sucks. Like, it's
Yeah.
Dude,
terrible.
yeah, yeah. Another big thing with her too is that like she's not satisfied with her life. Like she's unhappy with
Mm-hmm.
her life. That
Mm-hmm.
that that's why she's like that's why she's shitty because like in all the other versions, there's like at least some sort of happier version of her, because she did make some choices of not quitting on something or things that kind of like veered her life off. Like even when they have the sausage fingers, she's like in a good relationship
Yeah.
in that one. So
Well,
there's something going right in that one.
when she saw the universe where she became famous and a movie star, she was so eager to tell her
Oh
husband,
yeah.
look, see, if I would have stayed, like, I would have been famous, I would have been happy. And it's just like, dude, like, I don't know. It's just like to me, out of like all the different plot lines in the timelines, like to me that was the favorite, not because she was like rich and famous and kung fu master. It was this idea of like, when he does see her, and it's like, hey, I also became successful without you, and I am rich, but you know what? In another life, like I would have liked to run a laundromat with you, and I would have loved to have done our taxes together. And it's like, damn, that does like hit hard, man. Like give all that just
Mhm.
to spend a lifetime with that person.
That's one of
uh,
those that made me tear up a little bit, man. Yeah, and I mean
Dude, I
not even a little
know.
bit. That was like tear. Like yeah, I mean especially
That's what
because
love is.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because like that was it's basically like you guys both said it's the one life that she kind of always had in the back of her head because she said that multiple times in her universe that it's like if I wouldn't have been with you or like if I would have just like listened to dad and knowing that her dad's approval is a big huge part and knowing that her dad never wanted her to go away with like her husband and to like leave, it's all intermixed. So that universe of them being like never dated, I think it is one of the most like impactful for that reason, Carlos, because like yeah, for sure, like you said, it's like it hits you the most when he says that because no matter all their success, he was still fine with the reality that she explained that she had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's not.
and Ro, you won't get this, but like in Rick and Morty, when Bed and Jerry they didn't end up together, like Jerry
I
became
don't get it.
famous and rich, and then Bed became like the doctor she always wanted to be, but in reality, Bed was an alcoholic, and then Jerry was just like out of control. So it was just like this idea of like they did truly need each other to balance each other out, and it's just crazy, man. Like, yeah, we all think we deserve better, we want better things, but in reality, like we have everything we want, man. And I'll say it now and I'll say it again multiple times. Like our health is technically the best thing that we could ever have in our life, man. The idea that we're still like, reaching this age and like as far as we know, like, we're healthy and hopefully we're going to live for another 20, 40, 50 years. But it's just like, yeah, health is the best thing you can have, man. Because then you can grow
I
old,
kind
you
of
can
wish that
continue.
you would have started at a higher number.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, dude, like again, I'm not looking to die tomorrow, but it's just like this idea of like, hey, I've lived more than some people get to live, and I've experienced things that some people will never imagine. So it's like, yeah, man, be happy for what you have, and maybe I was put on this earth to do this podcast with you, to be a husband, to be a son, a father. So it's just I'm happy for this moment, that I get to be here with you guys.
Oh
Oh,
Not to
no,
get
for
too
sure,
emotional.
dude. Wait, hold on. I gotta do this. If you guys can run back the bagel.
the
No, I
bagel.
mean the bagel. I mean just like to start exploring other relationships too. Like, I mean the whole idea of like her and Jamie Lee Curtis was funny because Jamie Lee Curtis got like a nomination or not nomination. She got an award for like
They
being the
all
best
got an,
supporting
an
actress.
Oscar for
Eh,
this movie, man.
and then I think we talked more about that in previous episodes than we've actually talked about the movie. But it's like, I thought about it like even after she got the award, and I'm just like, damn, like I guess that is such a great role because like you get to play this person that's not like she's kind of a bitch when she's the IRS agent in the beginning, right? Because she's clearly just trying to like fail their audit. She's kind of not being very sympathetic. She doesn't really care. But then her progression is also really amazing. Like her development between the universes, like seeing her go like full on sumo wrestler or like a pro wrestler and just kind of like wreck and almost like freaking back
Break
break.
backs.
Yeah. Almost. He kind of had that last minute save with that like fax machine or telephone, whatever he put behind
No, it
her.
was the exit sign.
Oh yeah, that's right. The exit
Yeah.
sign. Oh yeah, that was such a good detail too. But no, just to even see like how her relationship with Evelyn kind of got merged at the end and kind of got like mended. I mean, it was
Mhm.
so beautiful because like that whole scene. This is like in a different universe now where the party like they don't go to the IRS and they end up at the party instead. It's another great thing because even just the ending of the movie having to be with that universe is crazy, but the whole idea that at that point too, the freaking Jamie Lee Curtis is understanding of the divorce situation because the husband explains it, and just seeing how Evelyn's kind of treating the whole situation, and then how they make up, and as they make up, their relationship in that other universe becomes more prevalent, and you see that like it's just man, it's to
Well,
have
dude,
someone who like flexes throughout is so great.
so there's a thought that I've been holding to since we started this recording, and I'm like, it's too early, it's too early, it's too early. You kind of just like brought something that I'm like, let me talk about
Let's
this. Like,
talk about it. I know what to talk
I'm
It,
about.
gonna
it's
forget
still too
about it.
early, Carlos. No, I'm
Well,
kidding.
okay, so it's crazy, and I didn't notice this the first time, but the reality that we've been following since the beginning, that's
Yeah.
not even the reality we end up in at the end.
Nope.
And then she does go through the bagel, like the daughter. It's all about like letting her go, and this is her decision as in a mother or a parental figure. You just gotta like see your child like make their own decision and just have this idea of like this is what they want to do, so I gotta let go. And I was like, holy crap, like technically the story that we've been following never got a resolution. It's actually another universe that got the happy ending. So I thought that was kind of crazy because I don't think I caught that in the my first watch.
No, and what's crazy is that technically Evelyn and Joy are the only ones that know that and are living the real like existence because they can travel through the universes. But it is crazy because like I had noticed that the first time, and I think the red was a big component in it. I like how they did that because they're celebrating their dad and also like the Chinese New Year, so they're all wearing red. And I remember when the movie finished, I'm like, wait a minute, like the movie just ended and they never went back to the IRS building. Like, what the fuck happened? Like at the
Yeah.
IRS building, like at the end of it, like, she had like beat everybody. The daughter kind of had stepped in through the bagel and they kind of pulled her, but we kind of got left with a really like ambiguous ending in that universe. And the next thing you know, here they are, like just living out their like last conversation in a different universe. And that's where it ends. And I'm just like, wait, what? So
I,
what?
I I rewinded and I was going like slide by slide, and I'm like, when do they go back to this
They
universe? And like
don't.
they
Yeah.
don't. So it was just like it like really was like because even when I started watching the movie, I'm like, oh man, I wonder how they end up fixing all this because technically all this is happening. And it's just like obviously when I got to the ending of this movie, I'm like, oh well, they don't ever fix it because this stuff did happen in that universe, so now they have to live with the consequences of like whatever's gonna happen after that.
But
So
that but
it's
that's
just
my question to you guys. Like, do you think that original universe that we started watching is still in existence? And because I mean, it kind of makes sense that it's still kind of there. We're
yeah.
just not going back to it. And it kind of sucks because one, I wanted to know the resolve of the husband and Evelyn because like I love that last scene where like they're touching hands right before like they had that emotional connection breakdown, and then after that she starts fighting with like his methods. But just seeing like that progression and having that moment where like made me cry again, to not see him again later on kind of like kills me because I was so rooting for him. I was so rooting for him to finally have his peace, for him to finally have like connected with Evelyn and made her understand that she doesn't need to fight, that she can fight with like positivity and joy and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, that was a
With
huge win
joy.
for him. Yeah, with with joy, a huge win for him. And we didn't get to like really celebrate with him. We got stuck with a different version of him that has no clue that he was so confused as he was in the IRS building. It kills me,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like, do you guys think that it just completely like?
Well, I mean, one of the big problems that this movie was trying to solve is this idea that like we gotta stop Joy because they're not really sure what she's trying to do, but they know it's evil. And finally, when we do get kind of like her headspace about why she's looking for evidence, it's like just this idea of like having somebody to understand what she's going through, and then having this feeling of like let's just end it together so that she's not ending it by herself. So I took it as like, okay, she went through the bagel, things are probably fine. Evelyn just needs to figure out how to get rid of that bagel so it's no longer there. But I do feel like that universe still existing, and I don't know what's going to happen with Evelyn going forward because clearly she can just hop on from every. I don't think she
Yeah.
stays happily, after that. Like, there's no way you go back to just living your normal life. She almost becomes like this protector of like multiverses.
And that's like where like our nerdy brains can take this movie in a whole different level. But I don't think obviously it's not necessary, but it kind of does suck because you absolutely have to think that way, right? With
She's the
you're given,
watcher.
yeah, like you're basically become this like kind of multi dimensional being along with Joy, and like would you really just be back in your original IRS building universe?
America
Like
Chavez.
yeah, well, I mean, but it's like this is, I guess that's where the movie would really carry on the message. Is that going to be
Miguel
enough,
O'Hara.
right? For her to be, for her to go back to original universe, like Evelyn herself, to go back to that IRS building universe, right? And to resolve her life there, that would be the ultimate. Like I learned my lesson and Joy, but even Joy's not from that universe either. The Joy that
But
she finally
yeah,
ultimately,
and like
like it's crazy.
in the way I understood the way Joy's powers works, that she was experiencing everything at once,
Hello.
like all these,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was just like,
Everything everywhere at once.
so I don't know if with Evelyn she becomes kind of like this idea of like, okay, now she can kind of like understand it and not really get tired of it. But I don't know if like the more she goes on, it's like she gets bored. It's almost like a Doctor Manhattan kind of thing with the Watchmen,
Mm.
where it's like the more you just keep going and going, and it's just like you kind of get bored. And I don't know if she's gonna have the same feeling as Joy. But I don't know, man. I mean, I couldn't speak for myself how it feels to experience so many different things all at the same time. That's just so crazy, man. Like we were just talking about this too, with like Attack on
Dude.
Titan, and it's just crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. There's it's crazy because it went from like no movies or no media like portrayal of this type of situation to now there's a lot of references to
So
like
much.
multiverses and alternate dimensions and all that stuff and then like and to go back a little bit with what you guys were saying with Joy, like that's another thing that kind of like killed me, is kind of seeing how, like, especially when they're rocks and they're kind of talking when she's first really talking about like how she's feeling about how it's been for so long and how like lonely she's felt, and that on top of like probably having all these experiences that she's felt with all the different Evelyns that she's had in her infinite lives, and then kind of feeling all those things, and then being the only person in the multiverse that's been able to kind of go through all these different worlds, and then how she got there to begin with, because in the Alpha universe, it was
yeah.
Evelyn that pushed her to the point where she could have either died or become this being, and then it's kind of just symbolic on how bad of a mom she can be, and that's probably not even the worst one, and Joey probably knows which one is the worst one.
But it's crazy what it did. I mean, yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I'm thankful for this movie that a lot of people that are, I want to say, above a certain age group saw this movie, and then they were able to understand like multiverses, because you were saying, Ro, like there's a lot of multiverse stuff going on today, but I think people that saw this movie, that normally would be like, what's a multiverse? How does this work? Like, totally came out of it being like, oh yeah, like this is why I'm able to understand what's happening in these Marvel projects or these other things, because this movie kind of did all the hard work. Because besides Spider-Verse, that I'm sure we're going to talk about a little bit, like I feel like this was the one that reached the people that like aren't into comic books, aren't really into like watching these, like reading these weird things. So I'm grateful this movie exists, man. I think it's incredible.
Oh yeah.
Everything that I saw, I don't know what these directors, the Daniels, are currently working on, man. But if somebody hasn't snatched them and given them a bigger budget, which maybe they don't even need a bigger budget, man. Because I bet you when you look up how much this movie costs, being an A24 movie, probably didn't cost a lot. So I'm just like, man, that I'm amazed that this movie was made in 2022, and it's incredible because I don't think I can compare it to anything else that I've seen since then. I just think
No.
on a quality level, on a creativity level, it's just like, it's insane, man. It's so crazy.
And we haven't even talked about all the crazy like freaking little bits of it. Like the whole thing with the bagel, I still think it's freaking amazing because, like Carlos, you mentioned that they kind of hinted at that in the beginning when you have like the circled receipts for the laundromat. And just in general, like it's kind of like the whole idea continues, but like what better kind of symbolism for like everything than an everything bagel? And the whole idea that, when she talks about the bagel, like it was a little confusing in the beginning because you're like, what? Like the bagel's gonna be like the destruction of all the existence? Like how is that even possible? But yeah, knowing that,
It's an
her
everything
telling her,
bagel.
well, it's an everything bagel, yes. But no, like
that a
this,
thing?
like what, an everything
Yes.
bagel? Yeah.
I've never heard of it or had
Oh my
it.
God.
Can't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
imagine
It's-
what
it's-
it
it's
is.
pop-
Go to
poppy
Einstein. Go to Dunkin'. Go to any big. Go to
Hmm.
Panera. If you ask for an
It's
everything bagel, yeah.
it's usually
I
poppy
don't.
seeds, sesame seeds, salt, and then maybe onion bits. I think it's
Who
that like in a like
who
It has
flakes.
everything on top of it.
Everything.
who says you can't learn from us? Because look at me, man. I'm like, I just learned something that next time people talk about it in the office, I'll be like, yeah, I totally know what you're talking about.
It's one of the most delicious bagels you can have, but also, you need to brush your teeth or chew some gum after that. So. But no, like I love the
arguable.
idea. Yeah, well, it's a good bagel. No, but it's like I love the idea because yes, by this point, like Joy has said that she's kind of already been living all the universes at once, so she kind of like basically was trying to like create understanding of it, and so she started adding everything to a bagel, and she kind of explains it as she literally had a bagel, and because she was putting bits of this and bits of that to try to have a better idea of what the universe was about, and then to have the realization that you have this thing, and at the end of it all, like it's almost like the whole, like the void of it is kind of like the reality is that nothing truly matters. And it is a weird relationship to think about with the bagel and the universe, but that's another depressing part of it, that is just like in her mind the bagel symbolizes that you can have everything in the world and it still doesn't matter, that we're
It's
all
still hollow.
screwed, that we're all hollow. I mean, that there is like that hollow bit, that it's meant to just kind of be for nothing. And that's literally what it is. She's like, it's all for nothing. So no matter how many lives you live, how many what you do, like, and I think that's why the movie hits hard, because who hasn't felt like you haven't accomplished what you wanted to? Who hasn't felt like you haven't, perhaps like you don't have the best job, or you don't have like the best, like, I don't know, freaking car, like, I don't know, like whatever, like could
Yeah.
be a dissatisfaction for you. Like, does it even matter when we freaking die? Nope. But in reality, that's kind of what we give like context, right? That's what we give like value. I mean, depending what person you are, you give it more value, less value. And for me, it's people. I love people, and this movie, that's probably why it makes me cry so much, because those relationships are like, dude, like hold on to the people that love you, hold on to the people that don't judge you, and try to lift you up, and put googly eyes everywhere, because that's,
I
you know, that's,
know.
yeah.
I hate that
So
she hated that.
I know. That was like the freaking best part of the movie too, the googly eyes, man.
Dude, I think one of the best,
And
not
that the
not
clothes were
gimmicks,
happier
but
over there.
Oh
things that
yeah.
make the movie special is the idea that in order for you to get the get into somebody else's like perceptive, you gotta do something like something weird.
Yeah, oh, that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just love that this whole idea that you just have to do something goofy and
But besides like the bagel and stuff like that, there was also like a bunch of like random like kind of gags, but like they were used so like interestingly, like the whole fact that one joy alters reality. So besides the bagel, like during the fight, she was like beating the dude with dildos, and then yeah, and then you and not even talking about all the different like worlds that they went to.
Yeah. No, no, for sure. No, I do like that too. I mean, just that whole idea of like her being able to control or kind of step in and out of different multiverses was like so good for that reason. And I think that was the first scene that it got truly got crazy, because you got to see her kind of like pull from everything. Even just that first initial like part with the cop, when she's like, you know, you don't understand, or you just like, you can't, like, stop saying can't. And then she like basically like did what she did, and then he just kind of blew up into confetti,
Oh
and
yeah,
then eventually runs into that other cop, and as she like goes to hug him, he automatically flips upside down, is wearing a luchador mask, and she does a freaking spine breaker. Like, it's so insane, like so good.
I like all the
hmm
outfits that she would wear too.
oh
Those were
yeah.
kind of like cool. Especially, it was kind of sad at the end that she was just like dressed as a clown, like a sad clown. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, but yeah, that was something that I thought was cool because it did give you that thing that she can just summon things or create things with her will.
She can
Was that what
alter
Yeah.
you said?
reality.
Well, no, I mean, I think I don't know what else have we talked about this movie, because I know there's so much other stuff, but I think, well, yeah, you were talking about like the silliness of the things that they had to do. I think in the
Well, like
beginning it was fun to like.
yeah, and the butt plugs, man. Like that's iconic, man. That's something that's just like you show this movie and they're already like thinking like this movie's weird, but you get to that part and I guarantee like record anybody, their face is gonna be like, what? But yeah, that
And
was
then if they don't realize it, then that gives you an opinion about them
oh my
as
god.
well.
Oh.
I just kept thinking like no lube, nothing, straight
No, no, no.
up.
It was crazy when you saw that security guy, like freaking, like not the first one, like the worker, but like the security guy, when he like just all of a sudden is running, he's just like up in the air, and he's just like about to land on it. He just lands on them, like, ouch. Okay.
Mhm.
Yep, that's fun.
The Rakakuni was pretty fun too.
Oh
But
yeah, the
but
raccoon.
it was funny that they were like making fun of her because they were thinking of Ratatouille, right? But she's
Yeah.
like, she in her mind, she knew. She was like, no, Ratatouille, and they're like, what, mom? Like that's so silly. That's not what it is. But it's like I didn't think about it. I thought it was just her mistaken too. But then ultimately, you do find out that there is a Ratatouille, and that whole story to begin with is kind of like hilarious because not only do you have a gross ass like raccoon on top of a dude's like chef hat, but then just the whole idea of how that story kind of goes. And ultimately, like, you know, she gets him caught and then he gets taken out by animal control. And then, you know, in order for her to help him save it, like they ride each other, like,
Dude,
just
it
like,
was
get on.
Dude,
dude, it
it's so
was funny.
ridiculous.
Like he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
making him a better cook. He was just like cutting everything like so cool, like a ninja. I was like, oh, my god, Raccoon, get on top of me.
No,
Well,
Uh,
and that,
yeah, yeah, and I will say like one of my favorite parts is kind of like the rock part.
yeah,
Because it's like if you're distracted and you're watching that, all you hear is like just silence, and then you look up and then you have to pay attention because it just like subtitles and just the words that they're like thinking, I guess, and somehow they understand each other. But it's and some of the callbacks like the whole language thing and just kind of like I don't know the just how like the bigness and how much like how seriously we take each other or ourselves when we really shouldn't because we're
yeah.
small yet
and
I,
we are.
I like when they were giving away the explanation as to like why this universe had sausage fingers or hot dog fingers, and it was like the monkeys, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that makes sense if it's like a weapon. It's like,
blah, blah, blah. I
And
didn't
then
get the
evolve that way.
whole squirting the mustard and
that was
ketchup
a
out
little
of
bit
That
too
was yeah,
much.
somewhere.
that was a little
Yeah, that
much.
was a little too much.
But it was a fun thing. No, going back to the stone when they're like rocks, I think that was beautiful. Also because again, it retouches on the whole idea that ultimately there's always going to be something that's going to make you feel small. Whether that's like
Mhm.
you as a human being in the grand scheme of things, and you know you feeling like you just could do so much more, but just the whole idea of like humanity as a whole, right? Like inventions and things happen. Like I love the idea that they were like, you know, we killed so many people because we believed that we were the, you know, the center of the universe, and then we were proven wrong, and it just continues to happen. And you know how silly of us to think that there's only one universe, which is this movie again being meta at that point was so great because it's already talking about the idea of like multiverses, but then it's saying like how silly is it to believe that there's solely just one universe and that's all that exists in this crazy like universe, or at least what we know of right now, that has like millions or trillions or whatever they said of suns. Like it's a whole crazy idea, but the whole fact that there's just always going to be something bigger and more grandiose that's going to make you feel less insignificant or more insignificant, I mean, that's going to make you feel like shit. And at the end of the day, I'm like, that's reality, man. Like, it's like I hope that you have your religion and you have you whatever you want, because it's sad. It's a sad
Dude,
reality. It's
dude, it's crazy because like today in the world we live today, like there are constant discoveries that should make everybody in the world be like, "Holy crap, did you hear about this?" But sadly, those things get like ignored, man. And it's like I want to live in the reality where if NASA makes a discovery, it's just like, yeah, it's like all of a sudden it's like the president's making like like something on the TV and they got to like show it in every channel because like I feel like we just take some of these things for granted. Like, oh, something new's discovered. It's like, it doesn't matter, whatever. It's just like nobody is impressed by anything nowadays. It kind of sucks, really.
It does suck. I mean, and this is crazy because right now, obviously, we have wars, and wars are always like very important, and it's just a sad thing to kind of like be a part of in this world. But like, even just like when there was talks about like UFOs, right, and the possibility of that. And this is kind of funny because I had this argument with multiple people and stuff. Like, I'm like, you don't have to believe, right? You don't have to be like the one that
Yes, you
says
do.
like, well, you know, and I totally love that stuff and I believe in it, and not all of it, right, and not all the stories, but that idea. But it is just like to be like close minded and say no, aliens are not real or UFOs are not real. I'm like, cool, you can have your opinion, but like don't be so close minded. But don't you think that if we're in this world where even it's making national news and you're seeing more things about like these like, you know, unidentified like flying objects and stuff like that, you think people would care more? But no, they're like on their TikTok and Instagram and freaking X and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, again, war and things are different, but just outside of that, everybody just wants to be in their bubble and be like, hey, so what's on TikTok again? Like what's going on?
Well, well, dude,
Sad.
sadly, some of the things today, that, like, for example, that takes me out of like believing sometimes about certain things is that things can be created fakely,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
just like it sucks, man, when you see something and you really do your
What?
research, and it's like, oh crap, like that wasn't real at all, or that was made up, and it's like, ah, well, that takes the fun out of things, because then that does put me in the mindset like maybe that ain't real, you know, when where I do want to believe, you know, I do want to see the proof, and it sucks, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely makes you more skeptical because you don't. If someone tells you something, you're not sure where they got it from. So it could have been on Facebook, it could have been on Twitter, it could have been on the news, it could have been like actual like reputable thing or just made up or but yeah, it could have even been like a retelling of something that they heard, but they like retell it badly because I've experienced that.
Yeah.
So like it's hard for me to like take everything that someone tells me like truly on the word, um, and then it's just too much stuff too to like be looking up everything all the time. So
Yeah.
so sometimes you just have to choose like what you believe and how likely it is to
Yeah,
be and
and I
that.
think Facebook's like the worst offender of it, because I know when something's fake, but I'm like, dude, if this is like my mother looking at this, like she's totally gonna like fall for that. And it's just like it sucks, man. I do think it's just it's really bad how we don't have control what's being thrown out there. But I do want to go back to talking about this movie, man, just because it's like a final thoughts. I, you know, on it, if we're like kind of like closing up, I do want to say it's just again, I think people that are inspiring to be filmmakers, I think everybody in a school should be forced to watch this movie to understand like the different things you can do, because I think there's so many amazing shots, so much like great editing that's being done, so many creative ideas. I feel like whoever came up with this like was responsible in the writers room. Like I feel like any idea wasn't a bad idea, like everything was being considered, and I loved about it, man. I think this movie was made with a lot of love, and it came out at the perfect timing. And
Mhm.
if people haven't seen it, they need to see it. So do your job and audience, and show other people that haven't seen this movie so they can get some fun out of it.
And not just the fun, man. I feel like this movie does like go along with the lessons. Like, and again, I'm always stick to that because, and again, the human nature, the human relationships is what always matters to me the most. And anything that I love watching, like whether it's anime to like freaking old school movies, like I just love relationships and just how people deal with each other. And this movie was like so beautiful for that reason because like multiple people, multiple relationships, and even like randomly thinking right now of just existences, but like, you know, we are talking about like things that you would want to believe in or not want to believe in, but even the whole idea of religion, right? Like being in this movie, where does religion even fall? Because if you're Evelyn and you're Joy at this point, like you're beyond that, you're surpassed that. Like, so it's just crazy to think that this movie does do that. Like it challenges your understanding of your in like relationships with your like parents, like kids, like whoever, right? Your IRS freaking agent that's auditing you, like who knows? Um, and then in general, also at the same time, like really challenges that whole idea of like what truly matters to you and how satisfied do you need, like what all do you need to be satisfied with your own life. And I don't know, it's just a beautiful exploration of everything. But like you said, Carlos, beautiful movie, period.
I do
But
want
I can't imagine how they freaking did all that. Yeah.
I want to say the part that almost did make me like actually tear up, because I don't ever like to force it. If nothing's really getting to me, then there's no point in me trying to be here and say like, oh, this I cried in this many scenes. But for me, for some reason, it was the part where the grandpa was accepting the fact that it's like this is her girlfriend, Joy's girlfriend, and he was kind of
That's
like
cute.
his reaction, him trying to understand it. I couldn't get a sense of like shock, happiness, or anything, but I just felt like overall like that moment and seeing her girlfriend's face, like I don't know, man, it just brought like emotion out of me. And if a part of this movie got me, was that part, because I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why out of everything that part got to me, but it was the closest I became to like possibly crying during this movie. on my
Not
second
me,
rewatch.
man. I only bring this up so many times because I wish that one day if we still continue doing this podcast later on that the whole Ramones thermometer is a thing and we can measure a movie based on how many tears I shed. Because I
Well,
mean,
in that
it's
case, I have a movie for us. No, I'm kidding.
oh no, because like for real, like I think not everybody can do that, and I'll tell people randomly. It's like I'll cry, and it's not necessarily like it's like I should be ashamed of it, but as
Yeah,
I love to fucking connect with movies, man. And I
dude, I
did
do.
have
Yeah,
I had a crappy childhood that kind of got better, and so there's reasons why the emotionality or the emotional response is there, but beyond that, right? I have like good control of my fucking adult emotions. But yes, when I get to certain movies, I do love to get invested because if you're not getting invested in a movie, I guess that's okay. But I think that's the point, man. Some of these directors, some of these creators, they're doing this because they want you to have that connection. They want you to have that. And if it doesn't make you cry, good. Like, that's not a problem. But if it does, like, fuck yeah, like join the club. Like, there's so many themes
yeah,
that this
dude.
movie tries to hit and like jerk at. So for me, this is like a 3 tiers out of fuck. I
Yeah,
don't know.
dude.
I'm just kidding. But yeah,
You,
one of these
No,
days
no,
I'll have a
no, yeah, no,
thermometer.
and I completely
yeah,
agree with
man.
you
You jerk
because
it, Ramon. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because the big thing that most like creators want to do is they want you to feel things like
Yeah. Hell
with
yeah.
what they create, and then I think the best movies do that, whether they make you feel fear or like sadness or excitement or or like joy or whatever it is that they make you feel like. The more you feel of it, the better job that they're doing, whether it's the directing, the writing, the acting, whatever it is. And this movie definitely had it because like you feel a lot of things. You feel annoyed, you feel excited because the fight scenes are awesome. All the
Oh
scenery is
yeah.
awesome, and like the different shots that they had, and then like you feel like crying sometimes, whether you
yeah.
do it or not. You have that feeling, and then everyone's obviously gonna feel things differently because they related to it differently. But yeah, this movie definitely succeeded in make at least making me feel things all over the place.
Oh dang,
No,
that's a lot.
no, yeah, no. Trust me, Ramon. Like, I'm super happy we got to talk about this movie. The movie that I'm gonna be suggesting for us next one. You guys are gonna be analyzing me when you're watching. Like, why did you pick this movie? Because it's gonna movie that also kind of makes me, like you said, Ramon. It makes me feel things. It makes me emotional. It makes me like rethink about like my past or the decisions I could have made, or what could the future hold for me. So it's kind of like it's great, man. I think that's what makes cinema great. And honestly, between me and you, I wish my wife would sit down and watch this movie by herself because I think she could pick up on a lot of things just from her having to watch this by herself without a phone, fully paying attention. But I can't
I
force her. But I can't force her. So
I get it, man, and without like kind
Man,
of like I get it, and without kind of like throwing shade at anyone, but it's like the whole idea. Like even there's parts of this movie that I wish that I could experience as someone else, right? Like I would love to be
yeah,
like my wife watching this movie. I would love to be like my sister, my mom, like someone watching this movie that has the experience of a mother, has the experience of a daughter, because like heck like fuck that I know that's like Evelyn was still like the main star, but I think she was not like super high up in the sense of like everybody was super meaningful, everybody had their role. But it's still crazy to see that movie and be like, damn, I wish I could see it from her perspective and then kind of know how I felt. But I
yeah,
mean, I got it from the husband, not saying that's directly my relationship, but yeah, I mean, a fucking again, emotions and it hurts, and just the whole idea of just a parent and always trying to please the parent. Like we've all are there or been there in one way or another, and it's just like there's these topics that are just so fucking like meaningful. But
mhm.
yeah,
and they're
No.
great
deep.
movie, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Ramon, if you don't mind, like I think when I was talking to you earlier, one of the things that I was actually happy to talk, have to do
Yeah.
recording to is because I watched a couple of things throughout the
Yeah,
weekend. So
let's
I don't know
stop.
if
Let's
it's
stop
like
talking about this movie. Let's go.
uh, so so
Allergies, man.
so
It's allergies.
so a movie that I saw this weekend that I had heard about for years, and it was like somehow I came up on it because it's like it was never easy to find, but it's called First Cow. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. It's an A24
First
movie.
cow.
Yeah, First Cow, and it's an A24 movie, and I watched it and I enjoyed it. I don't think I could recommend it and tell you guys to go out of your way to go find it, but it was a very
First cow.
pleasant watch. If I had to give you a breakdown of what the movie's about, it's about a guy that has a cow. he falls in love with it. He becomes president, and clearly he takes the cow with him on his journey as president of the United States. Hence the name First Cow. And actually, I'm pulling your leg. That's not what the
Oh
movie.
my
Okay,
god!
okay.
I was like, what?
Because I was starting to see pictures, and I'm like, this does not sound like what it's about. Like,
No, it's actually about a bunch of people that are stealing milk from a cow to make biscuits, and it was a great watch. And I'm glad that I finally saw it. And again, I can never push it on anybody else to like see, but I think just for my own experience, I'm really glad that I saw First Cow.
Do you know? Do you
yeah,
know what I watched in the last week, maybe 2 weeks?
the
What?
last
The Squid
cow.
Games, the challenge, and it's
Oh my
actually
god.
Oh,
interesting.
Dude, I refuse to watch it because I'm seeing all the controversy and how somebody actually died on that.
wait,
So it's just
what?
like,
No, they didn't.
no, yeah, the 90-year-old the lady supposed to be. I think there is a person that died, didn't she? Because
No,
okay, so for the first game, even though it makes you feel like it was 5 minutes, I guess it took hours for them to like record. So for example, like they
dude,
would say stop,
there was a timer there for
but
30 minutes.
But I'm saying, like, I think people are saying that, like, oh, you get the sense that, oh, this was all done like quickly, but it wasn't. It was like if you were caught squatting and you had to hold that position for like 40 minutes before they would shoot you, like hit you with a green light. And I don't know, man. I just see a lot of controversy about how they were filming that and it was freezing, how they needed like chopstick, how they were all cold. I just feel like it's just I don't know, man. Nothing about it makes me want to watch it, especially because I feel like Mr. Beast already did it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. He has his
Yeah,
own like
yeah, I
laser
heard about that.
show.
Yeah.
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 No, yeah, yeah, and that's a thing too. That like, so like I heard about the because I saw it before I heard it, like any of the controversy behind it. But like the only thing that I know for sure is that there's like a lawsuit or whatever supposedly,
Mm.
but it's I don't know how much of the other stuff is true because one, I haven't looked into it, so I apologize for not. But I don't know. Like I don't see how some of the extreme things could have happened, but I could see how it could happen, but like I they don't seem likely, but it could happen technically. I just
Well,
haven't looked into it.
the one thing is clear. They didn't give people like an NDA, so everybody's been like, that was on that show has been on TikTok talking about their experiences. So I'm like, man, like, dude, you got to do an
Oh, I'll
NDA so
look them
these
up.
like, yeah, so that people aren't on TikTok snitching all the details and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you, Ramon? Anything cool?
No, man. It's well, if any of you
Oh
guys know,
yeah,
I work retail, so it's like this past
What?
weekend for us. uh, this past weekend was
Black
Black
Friday.
Friday, so it's been a journey, man. It's and then even then, like just working a whole lot, it's straight into like sickness. But it's not even worth mentioning. But we're getting close to Christmas. I like to watch like, and I like to watch any movies in general, but it's like I think anytime around the season, you always want to watch Christmas movies, or like just like at Halloween, you watch scary movies, even though I watch them all throughout. But it's like I did watch a random movie on Netflix, The Best Christmas Ever.
okay. I
Not
think I
not
heard of
nothing
that. No, who's
Who's
in
in
it?
it?
Who's in it? Tell me.
oh my god, a dude from American Pie. What's his name? I'm
Yeah, I
spacing.
saw
Yeah.
that. I saw
Oh,
it.
okay, yeah, yeah. Him and Isla Fisher, I think, is in it too.
Jason Biggs, yeah, and Heather Graham,
Oh,
The girl
Heather
from
Brandy.
Graham. Yeah, yeah,
Austin
yeah.
Brandy.
Powers, Austin Powers too, right?
Yeah,
The
and then
actress.
and
Yeah.
then Brandy was even in it. And then you know what, like
Mm.
it just reminds you,
Yeah.
like, there are movies you can throw on and you can be on your
I'll
phone
pass.
and you can totally, but again, I put it on because we were having dinner. It was me and my wife. It was one of those nights we're basically getting
Well,
ready to do projects and do stuff. So put it in the background and still ended up watching the whole thing. But again,
some,
it's just I don't even I
dude,
don't it was
dude,
a
sometimes they
movie. It's
surprise.
there.
I would watch it too because sometimes they surprise you. Like I remember the one with the catfish Christmas story where like the girl went.
Yes.
That one I like, dude. Nobody talks about it, but on my watch, like I really enjoyed that Netflix movie. Like I was like, this is like a fun movie. That should be like talked about more. Sadly, nobody's probably remembers it now.
And I think that's why I watched them, because you never know, you're gonna hit like a freaking jack. Oh, Leo! I watched Leo, the Adam Sandler like
Oh, the
animated
animated
movie.
Dude,
iguana.
Yes,
yes,
yes. Okay, there you go.
yes,
I knew there was
yes,
one. I knew there
yes,
was one that was
yes.
like worth talking about.
Haven't seen
Okay,
it.
Well, okay.
watch it. Yeah,
So I probably didn't watch it like you did, Ramon, but I had
yeah,
it on, and from the jokes that I was picking up, I was
yeah.
like telling my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm like listening to the jokes, and it's making me laugh. Like I want to
But
watch this
it's
because
Adam Sandler.
no,
It's
it's not even that. It's just like they're smart jokes. So like they're actually
it,
like they stab people, like they're like
yeah.
burning people.
Well, it is a Happy Madison movie, so that goes to
Yeah.
show you treat it, because I think Happy Madison's only done this one in the eight Christmas nights, or eight crazy
Hey, Crazy
Christmas nights.
Nights.
Eight Crazy Nights that he did. That's the only other animated movie that like Happy
Oh,
Madison's ever
animated.
done.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, like all the Happy Madison movies are that kind of movie. They're like dumb humor, but also like kind of smart dumb. And in that movie, that's what it is. I didn't know what to expect when I started watching it. I knowing that it was an Adam Sandler movie and it was a Happy Madison movie. It was actually good. Like, I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it was good. It had, like you said, good jokes. And I think part of it, the story still caught me by surprise because it still felt kind of Disney-ish with the like overall like heartwarming part of it, but it had some silly ass things in it that you were
I
like, "This is not Disney, that's
I
for sure."
I think Raul, you really would enjoy
Yes.
it if you like give it a chance. Like I actually,
No.
I'm
Yeah,
glad.
yeah. I do intend to watch it, but
I'm
I'm
glad.
gonna wait for Elias to watch it.
I'm glad you reminded me, Ramon, because yeah, that's a movie that I didn't get to experience it the way I would have, because I think I was doing Thanksgiving stuff. But I
Yeah.
actually do want to sit down and like have it on and just like catch more of the jokes. I was having quite a laughter myself with what I was seeing.
And that's the thing.
uh,
Adam Sandler does a good job at like keeping a lot of the jokes still for adults. And
yeah.
even though the whole story revolves around like children, but it's even just the whole idea, the fact that it's like a class pet situation, like it makes me laugh because I had a class pet when we were like in third, second grade, and one of my classmates took the hermit crab home, brought it back with three legs missing.
Oh
And I'm
wow.
just like, always think about that. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, yes, I feel for class pets because it's terrible. So, anyways, watch the movie. It's a fun concept. And again, just throws you for a loop
Yeah,
because it's
I'm
not
intent
what
to
you
watch it.
think. Yeah.
The other animated movie that I saw that I do want to trash real quick is I went to the movies to go see Magnifico. I think
Oh, yeah.
that's the name of it, and it was terrible, man. Like
What
I
is that?
I came out. It's the newest Disney movie that just came out. Oh, Wish. It's called
Wish,
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 right?
Oh yeah,
wish.
Wish.
yeah.
Magnifico is actually the king in the movie, but which I have something to say about him. But Wish, dude, it was just a terrible movie. Like I came out of it like
Really?
not really laughing the whole time. Like the art style that they went for, like they didn't really like jump at me. I don't know, man. Like like spoilers, but the king Magnifico, whatever his name is, he's like the bad guy, which is voiced by Chris Pine, and he does a great job. But clearly, I feel like that was the wrong cast because I feel like with a name like Magnifico, like you or whatever his name was, like you gotta cast like somebody that's like, I don't know, just from like Latin
Magnificent.
America. Yeah, well,
Italian.
no, like Latin America, because
Oh,
I
okay,
think they
okay.
were like saying like things in Spanish. It's like, okay, so you clearly are supposed to be like a Latin character for you to say these kind of words. So I thought that was kind of weird. And then I don't know, man. Like I told my wife, I'm like, I felt like the king, they portrayed him as the bad guy, and there's reasons why he's the bad guy, but I think he was actually like not the bad guy. I feel like he was kind of like people made him the way he was in the movie because he was like, I don't know, man. I just like I can't wait for one of you to check it out and tell me that you kind of like are on my side where the king is kind of was the good guy, and it's just like I feel like they screwed him over, man. I feel like they just screwed the king over.
At
And
this
I
point, I'm
never
just
feel
gonna
like
wait
that.
for it to come out on Disney Plus
Oh,
because
please do, man.
of
Please
your bad
do.
review.
Please do and just watch it and tell me that you're not on the king's side by the end of it. Like I'm like, oh come on, guys, you totally did the king wrong.
I'll let
Yeah,
you
I'll
know in a
watch it when it's
month
on
when it comes out
streaming.
on Disney Plus.
Yes.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah.
Same.
But anything else, Ro?
I did watch today the trailer to Furiosa, and that
Oh,
actually looks
Oh.
legit. It looks beautiful.
I
That's
couldn't
Mad
recognize.
Max, right? Mad
Yeah,
Max.
Mad Max with Anya Taylor Joy as Furiosa instead of Charlize Theron. So it's a prequel, and
Oh,
then
nice.
and Chris Hemsworth is this weird character that he might be able to pull off. That's
So
actually like I feel happy for him.
so I didn't know he was even like I might have forgotten he was in this movie,
Yeah,
Ramon.
yeah,
But
me
when you
too.
see him, first of all, the first shot you see of him, you're not gonna
I didn't know it
recognize
was him.
And then when you do, don't even look it up right now. Don't I see you looking it up? Don't do it.
I'm
Don't
like,
do it
damn.
till you watch the trailer. And
Yeah.
then when you are watching the trailer, you can tell like he's actually acting. I'm like, holy shit! Like
Yeah.
he's actually like Chris Hemsworth's actually trying to do something different. So I
And
applaud him for
I
that.
applaud him for that. Yeah.
Yo, why didn't they
Yeah,
ever make a video game of Mad Max? Like,
I
we
there
don't talk
might
They
about
might
video
have
be.
games
for like
enough.
Super
Like, you think
Nintendo
so?
or for Atari.
Well, like, I
I feel
mean,
like
like something now. Like, I mean, that whole world, because this affected now they're expanding on it, like, kind of backwards too. Like, it's great. Just because I don't know, just the road, what is the Fury Road, the Tom Hardy one was so fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh man,
They should make a Waterworld one.
yes,
They should.
I liked Waterworld.
Dude, I did
It
too.
was this. It's a hard movie to watch now because it's a hard movie to watch. But I love that movie. The whole concept of them. Yes.
What would do Waterworld one day?
Post-apocalyptic movies are tough when they were made back then because they didn't have a lot to work with, and you love the concepts. And as a kid, you're like really appreciate them because you're like, this is awesome. Like, but now everything's been done, so it's not impressive. It's just you had to have been there. You had to have been there.
I feel like I've never seen Waterworld like today, like in the last 20 years. Only like I only have my whatever I remember seeing as a child, but I feel like if I watch it today, I don't know what I would say about it. Honestly,
I think you'll enjoy it, but you'll understand that it's like it's definitely made back then, and it's just people wouldn't like it anymore.
Dude, I saw
probably has several problematic things.
Yeah, dude. Well, I saw 10 things that I hate about you this weekend on my own. Like, cause I love that movie, and dude, it was just so crazy. Like, I'm like, in what world is this movie taking place in? Because it was just like some of the jokes or some of the stuff that was just like it was so horny for like, and obviously it's a '90s movie.
That was a '90s movie. Yeah,
it was a '90s teen movie.
Yeah, dude, and then like the
Heath
guy
Ledger and
Julia Stiles, dude, the guy from Adam's Family, Wednesday's boyfriend, he's in that movie, and he's he's Joseph Gordon's Leavitt's best friend, his friend in that movie. Yeah. And then he's also in Oppenheimer. Like this kid has had such a good acting career, and I never even realized it.
He was in Numbers. He was the main character in Numbers.
I don't remember Numbers.
It's a show where he was a mathematician and solving crime.
That's why.
But I'm saying like he's had a good acting career, man. Like And then the last movie that I don't know if we'll actually make a whole episode about, it's Blue Beetle that I saw. So those were like that was another one that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell me if you want to record about it, we can. But I think
I want to record about it.
I think it's fun to record about it because we saw some of the interaction when we brought it up, and like our friend Tony, who's like a whole different type of Mexican than we are, totally like this is
way different than us. Apparently,
this is just so random, and this doesn't even like it's not even real. And I'm like, what? Like, no, I mean, it's not that exaggerated, but of course, it's like pretty close.
Dude, even the music, I was like, dude, this is like great music, and I bet you those musics to him was like, what is this?
Dude, I just watched it with my son again, and then like from the start, I was like, oh hey, it's that song, and then it's that song, Yeah,
we should do it.
Yeah, I liked it. I think overall, I'm positive on it. I will say that by the time I was done with it, I was like, okay, maybe it was okay that I didn't go to the movie theaters to go see it, which is a bad thing for me to say, but I did enjoy it.
I'm glad that I went to see it in theaters because, dude, honestly, like, well, I'll save it for whenever we do the Blue Beetle.
And the last movie that I saw was A Hunting in Venice, which also stars Michelle Zhao.
How is that?
I love those movies. So like I love all of them. Like every time.
Is it kind of horror-ish?
No, not at all. If anybody went to see this movie because they thought it was a horror movie, I feel sorry for you because it's not a horror movie.
Oh, okay.
Wait, which one is it?
It's from it's the one that did
it's with
the
Pierrot,
Orient Express.
Right?
Orient Express, is that what it's called?
The first one? A murder in Orient Express.
And then the last one was the murder in the Egypt or whatever.
Yeah.
But dude, those movies, I love the detective. The twist always gets me. I know they're based on books, but the twist always like who did it? Always like to me is like like I was always like shocked.
Like Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Highly
Yeah.
recommend those movies. I love them. That's the old man in me.
If you liked it, then I'll watch it because I was
Oh
kind of
yeah,
iffy about it because
absolutely.
I heard mixed things about it, but if you liked it, then I'll probably like it.
Oh, it's a blast, man. Keep it coming, man. I want to crowdfund the next one. But yeah, no, that's all.
Well,
I did it. I did it.
there you
It's
go.
5 movies I saw or whatever, however I
That's a lot,
named.
man. Yeah, you threw a lot at us. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I really don't watch movies anymore unless my sister's watching them with me. But I did binge the Squid Game show like
Hey, but has she seen Everything
last
Everywhere
week.
All at Once? That's someone that you should watch it with.
I told her that I was gonna watch it, and then she didn't watch it because
She's never watched it?
No.
Dude, that's your
Oh
homework.
no.
Oh,
You get her
no!
to
It would
no.
break her.
No, I
It
know,
would break
but
her.
like your sister, like from every time that you talked about her and we talked to her, like very intelligent person, like I think she would really appreciate the movie. And you were saying that
She
you need a
would. She
reason
would.
to watch the whole
And
movie all at once, and I feel like that's a good way to not only like again gain that experience of someone else watching it with you, but like because I
You
love
should have watched.
showing it to people.
she's gonna bawl if she
I,
watches it,
I wish you
and
had
it's gonna
watched it with
hurt me
her.
in the inside.
I think if
Yeah.
you would have watched it with her, you would have gotten a lot more enjoyment for it
Oh yeah,
from it.
probably.
Just if I had shown it to somebody that hadn't seen it, I think I would get a lot more enjoyment from it as well because I think they would have a lot. It's a fun movie, man. I think it's like it's not
Yeah.
meant to also watch by yourself because I think it is something you can enjoy with somebody that hasn't experienced it before. You got to
Yeah,
show it. It's
because you end
yeah,
up like choking your dog to death while you're hugging them and be like,
bro
why?
was like, "Come here, little doggy."
Yeah.
It's like that was pretty hilarious too. When she
That was pretty funny too.
freaking swings the dog on the freaking leash and like throws it into the fridge. Yeah, that was
Oh
great.
man, well let's leave on that note because that's a high note right there. All right, man. I'll talk
All
to you
right,
guys soon.
guys. Hey,
Bye.
awesome. We'll see you guys.